Welcome. Thank you very much to this podcast, The Learning Mind, where we explore people's stories and journeys and understand about how they've arrived where they are. And today I want you to join me with Mike Crocker, who I've got here today from Gravitate Accounting. It's a rapidly growing accountancy practice. I've been following them now for over a year and I've been really pleased and excited to see some of the stuff they're doing that I would like to do when I'm bigger and grown. He has got a great team working for him, but they are much more than just the 9 to 5. Listening to a previous podcast clip, his key priorities, he says, is the best clients, the best team, and the work. What better place to be? Welcome, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me, Kim.
Fantastic. So just tell me, where did it all start?
Yeah, I suppose right back when I was doing AAT, to be fair, and that's not nothing to do with the business, but I always sort of had aspirations back then. I even said it in one of the interviews that I had with one of the local radio stations that, I had aspirations of having my own accountancy practice one day and, having a great team behind me working. And I suppose I sort of manifested it back then without realizing it actually might come true. And I think along the way, sort of probably lost myself a little bit and thought it may never happen. And then luckily, 4.5 years ago, there was an opportunity that meant that, it made it a reality. And that's when Gravitate Accounting were born, really.
And that's amazing that you had that inspiration so long ago when you were doing AAT. And I say so long ago. I have no idea how long that is, but I
A
know.
long time ago for me, yeah.
But I see you've done various other roles as well, as I did a little bit of research there. What would you say was the pivotal one that sort of said, actually, I'm going to set up and, run my own business? Where did you make that decision?
Yeah, I think I knew I wanted to do something different after I'd come out of a career in accountancy. I didn't come out of it, I switched paths. So I went from working in an accountancy practice, which is more the traditional route where you work for varied amounts of different clients. I
Yeah.
moved into industry where I just focused on one company at a time. I think I got to the sort of second move there, and then I realised at that point it wasn't that I needed. So there's some sort of, I suppose it was good that I moved because it made me realise that actually I did like being in practice. I probably just wasn't happy where I was at the time because I couldn't do it in the way that I wanted to do it and carry out the services the way I wanted to do it. Some sort of shackles there.
Mm.
Rightly so for that business, but how I wanted to do business and being entrepreneurial, I wanted to do it in a certain way. Um, and then Sam Newton, my business partner, I used to work with him for around about 4 years at a local accounts practice in Sheffield. And I'd left and he stayed there. Sorry. And yeah, so he came up to me and said, look, I'm setting up this business. I've been going a few months now and I can really see it taking off and it's doing X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z being the things that I really wanted to do but couldn't do in my previous role. And it just got me excited. It was a new year. I was like, new year, new me, challenge. Everybody likes to think that this, start to do something different in a new year. And it was just sort of the stars aligned for us really. And I just said, yeah, you know what, I'm not particularly happy in the industry now. I've made a move. I've realised that it's not right for me.
Yeah.
And it sounds particularly exciting doing what we've always sort of said years ago, saying, no, we should do it in this way. We now get to set up a business and do it in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose that's where it all started.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because I've been around the block a few times and the trends are still coming through, which is really quite worrying. But what I love is that so many people are beginning to realize, particularly since COVID, but arguably before, that there's a better way, isn't there? And what I'm hearing here is that you've found a better way that suited you and what was important to you. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think we realised, me and Sam, that when we worked in what you would call an advisory department of a traditional accountancy practice that was doing a bit of tech and a bit of management accounts and all that sort of stuff. And what we realised is that was our passion. Yeah, that's what we really enjoyed doing. And when team members were coming over, doing a bit of a sort of 6-month trial period in that department, there was opening their eyes up to, what we get to talk to clients, we get to be involved in their business, we get to influence their business decision making. And I think because accountancy practice, well, being an accountant gets such a bad reputation from a boring aspect, that this was almost like, well, actually, this is not that boring. This is really, really impactful for clients, and it's really different. Every client's different. So what we held on to is, well, that's the bit there that if I was a trainee accountant, I would want to be doing that bit of accountancy. And maybe not so much auditing, for example, which I personally didn't like as much.
Mm.
And I think the advisory piece was the bit that was like, right, this is what we want to do solely. Now we do all the other compliance traditional type stuff, but we've really got a view to working with clients that want to scale their businesses, and with that they need management information, and with that they need close relationships with our accountants. And I think that helps us to really um, engage with the up and coming accountants and really attract them and retain them as well, because it is a lot more fun than just being in the background, not really knowing who the client is, what they do, how you can help them. So I think that's the key driver for us and the key difference.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've been working with accountants now for about 3 years, and my eyes have been opened, I have to say. I had an idea of them as a person, that they were very analytical and logical, and therefore very right-brained. And of course, with the nature of the work I do, I'm looking at the other side and trying to bring balance. But actually, there's way more accountants who are much more on the right side as well, which is the creative and the inspiring, and the idea of getting to grips with something beyond facts and figures. Because when you're with a client, I'm guessing you get faced with all sorts of things, do you? It's not just business stuff. You'll get personal, you'll get issues, you get everything, do you, not thrown at you?
Yeah, also it's like you name it, we've probably been asked it, and it's great, and we love it. So I suppose a goal of ours is to be that right hand person for that
Mm.
client, so who do they turn to? And a big thing has been, it used to be the bank manager, and the bank manager no longer exists. So now we're that, ever so more important trusted advisor that they go for everything. And that's fine for us, because that's just us doing business together. And it's
Mm.
important that we're there helping them navigate as much as we can. We obviously have to know where our boundaries are in terms of our competence and what we can physically do, and where we can pass them on to somebody else, for example. So we're very good on knowing our clients is key. And then if a client's got a problem in that area that we've got another client for, we have pre-built templates to refer them on to several different partners in that area. So let's say insurance, for example. We've got clients that do insurance and we can refer them on. So it's not always us doing the work, but it's us going, right, I think that issue that you're having there means that you do need to talk to somebody in the insurance sector, and just to make sure you've got everything covered. It's not all about us doing the work. It's about us trying to navigate them in the right direction and cutting time for them, rather than them having to, go online and research it, maybe get it wrong, then try again. It's being that person that they just, if they call us for anything, we know we've got that relationship with them, and it's almost like a goal ticks for us.
And actually, that's interesting, because I know many are a little fearful of being that single point of contact in terms of information. And somehow some of them out there are very much about, they need to know the answer. But actually what I'm hearing here is you don't. You just need to know the person who has the answer. Is that what you're saying?
A client will feel way more reassured
Mm.
in you saying you don't know the answer, but you'll get them the answer of the right person, rather than you stuttering through trying to give them the answer because you don't look confident in that situation. But at least I'm confident. I know I don't know the answer, but I'm confident I can get the right person. Can always be confident in that, but you can't always be confident in giving an answer to their question.
Yeah.
And I think it was a few years ago, somebody said to me, just get comfortable with not knowing the answer. Don't feel the pressure that you must know everything. That's just impossible. You're holding yourself way too high. And some clients may expect that, but it shows a human element when you do break it down and say, I don't know the answer to that, but don't worry, I'm going to find somebody that does know the answer to that, because I'm going to get the expert for this, not me. And accountancy is so widespread. There's different areas of it. It's like tax. Not one tax person will know all the tax related answer to the questions you've got. There'll be different specialists in different areas, and if you can explain it in that way, and we do, they quickly get it. But as long as they feel reassured, because I'm saying, but I'll get you the answer from somebody else that knows that answer, and that's all that they care about. So they will still come to you because they know that whether you're the expert in everything, you're going to be the person that can connect them up to the right person.
And I love that you said that, because many years ago, I was talking to somebody else. I was dealing with something else, and they were talking about doctors. And when you go to the doctors, you know, you expect them to have all the answers, but they're GPs, and the clue is in the title, general. And of course, they have to refer you on, don't they? And that's literally all you're doing. All professionals do exactly the same. And sometimes, yes, they'll look up on Google for something that the doctors only the other day, and they were looking up on Google. It doesn't matter. They know what they're looking for, and they know when they found it. So as long as they've got the answer, I think that's the key, isn't it? I don't
Yeah.
suggest you look on Google, obviously, but it was something she was looking for regarding an
Yeah.
ear infection. But yeah, it was interesting. So I'm glad you said that, because I think there'll probably be people who listen to this who will be hesitant, shall we say, about the idea of going into this field, because with all the new tech that's coming through, I mean, how do you see traditional accountancy going? Is that going to be always a thing, or will they need to be starting to think about this advisory consultancy role that you're talking about here?
Yeah, traditional will always be there. I think, softwares will claim to be able to do it for the client. I just don't think it can do everything. So for a certain sector, a certain size business, maybe a consultancy type business, maybe where the transaction is very, very simple, then maybe that could be automated. But I suppose for us, it doesn't fear us, because the businesses that we work with are the ones that are, growing and scaling really quickly, and don't fit that micro entity type business model anymore. So it does it for a certain type of accountant would just fully, and there is ones out there that do just focus on consultants only that operate for limited companies. They may feel an impact in the near future, and I think what we're doing is we're doing very much of the human-led element and the client relationship building that technology is nowhere near being able to solve that. And even if it could, there's a lot of people out there like myself that does like that human element, that human relationship as well. Because if I imagined myself in business or working with bots left, right, and centre, that's a bit of a rubbish place to be in, really. So I'd probably pay a little bit more for that interaction, that client relationship, or supplier relationship, really. So there's no fear. I only can see it optimizing it. So we're working with companies that are now making bots that can automate some of that lower level tasks, such as bookkeeping. And we really want to encourage that, because the alternative is to, I know a lot of companies are going overseas and outsourcing, which is, a great solution for certain business models, and that's great, and I'm not against it at all. But we want more innovation in our country. We want it to be the front leader. And I think by, say, outsourcing, for example, you're just holding back that innovation, and another country's just going to overtake you. So we're very much more of a champion of the automation side. We're not fearful of it. We want it because we know it's going to make us better, because our apprentices, instead of doing bookkeeping, they can now start working on VAT returns or management accounts. We now spend most of our time in our training material being around the high level work, which means that it would just be more profitable anyway. Or you be able to spend more time with the client. It just makes sense to us. We're not scared of it. We actually want it, because we know there'll be a lot of late adopters out there that'll push back on it massively, and we'll capitalize off the back of that at some point as well.
Yeah, and I love what you say there. It's the value that you're giving, isn't it? The quality and the value. You're now being able to do something more constructive. I mean, years ago, I remember I went to an accountant with my then husband, and I couldn't understand some certain things about accountancy. And I'd done up to profit and loss and balance sheet, so I understood the principles. I never took it any further. just couldn't get to grips with some of the things he was telling us. And it was almost like, well, you don't need to know, here it is, that's your numbers.
Point, yeah.
So thank you very much. Toddle
It's
off.
a, it's a good point that, because it's always been that black box. And I think what Xero's helped us to do is to give the client the data now, give the client the information to be questioned. And I love it. I loved in the year-end meeting going through every single line and making sure that they know exactly what's behind every single line, rather than saying, you don't need to worry about that because we've got it all supported in the background. I do the opposite. I want you to question it. I want you to have some involvement in your numbers, because one of our things we want to do is increase client knowledge. Because with client knowledge, that only can create good things. It could only make your numbers better. We get more input from you guys, helping us out, because you know your business better than we do. If your margin's down, you know why. You know that's wrong. We aren't necessarily going to know if that's wrong or not. You'll know because you have price increases, etc., or you reduce prices. You'll know exactly. So you'll know what feels right. We don't. So without your input, we could never ever be able to get to a point where we might need to delve a little bit deeper. So we very much see it as Xero's really helped to step up client involvement, and we're not fearful of that. But I know there's a lot of accountants out there that use the jargon, keep you at arm's length, not really get you involved. But we're like, ask us questions. If you've got any questions, let us know. We'll go back, have a look into it, and we'll have another catch up. We'll talk it through, because it's your knowledge at the end of the day. When you go into business, it's good to have that finance knowledge. But I appreciate it doesn't come overnight, so that's why we have regular catch ups to go over the things they don't know.
And from the business perspective, the business owner's perspective, the more they understand, the more that they can become better at running the business and understanding when they're committing to extra costs, or they're doing some more investment and everything. So the better they understand how the numbers work. I was just about to say something flippant there, but let's not do that. So let's just change tack a little bit then. So what would you say have been your biggest learnings on this journey of yours? Just a couple of your biggest learnings.
Yeah, I'd say, and it's more around the business rather than the accountancy side. It's more of a how. I didn't realize I'd changed from being an accountant to being a business owner, and I don't necessarily define myself as an accountant anymore. I'm just a business owner. A business, it could be any business. It just turns out to be an accountancy practice. And with that transition, you very quickly become a manager of people and trying to keep team happy. Because if it was just me, Sam, and Jonathan, and Claire, we'd just be working as hard as entirely possible, because that's just all we know. But when you bring a team in, you've got to work with their motivations and maybe clashes within the team and all that. So your job very much becomes not doing a set of accounts anymore. Very quickly becomes, how can we keep the team happy? How can we keep the team engaged? How can we attract more team? How can we retain the team? Everything then becomes the people. And then you put a layer of strategy in there in terms of where you want to take the business. So that's probably one thing I didn't expect. It doesn't surprise me, but it's really enjoyable. And then I suppose the other thing is not knowing how difficult it would be to carve the right client as well. So when we set up, we just wanted to help everybody, and we still do. To be fair, we do want to help everybody, but there is a limitation and who can be helped, who can't be helped. And I think learning that over the last few years has been pretty tough. There's some really nice people out there that you really want to help, but they won't help themselves. And I think letting them go has been a really big challenge in, saying that, maybe we're not right for you, because it was fine when it's me that's dealing with you, but when it's my team and that impacts my team, we have to make those decisions as to, is it the right type of client for our team? Because again, we need to keep them happy, doing the work that the client values, etc. So if you're not progressing where you need to get to, you need to make decisions quicker on that client, and give them options, saying, look, I think you might be better suited with this type of accountant that works to the last minute, rather than us wanting to be really proactive throughout the year. So it's working on getting the right type of client that engages with us, and that's the most important thing, is that they engage with us. And that's always hard to do. I don't think it'll get any easier, to be fair. there's only a few clients that, I have a personal attachment to. But as long as we set up the business in a way where that doesn't happen for the team, and we can try and maybe funnel some of the sales leads out to start off with, we end up getting more of the ideal client, and it doesn't become a problem. So we've just got to ask the right questions at the right time.
It's not easy, is it? It's easy to talk about, but not easy necessarily to achieve. I do get that. And funnily enough, I was only watching something the other day, and they were talking about how their team had been upset by this one client who'd become quite rude and obnoxious, and they didn't know how to let them go to start with. And they eventually got there. There's a process that they went through, and they let them go. And the team were just completely relieved that they'd gone. And you'd never realize just quite how much it's affecting the people within the organization. So, and I think one of the things that I've noticed when following you guys is how much your team are very important to you. You're not just there at work, but you do things outside work as well, don't you? Lots of outside work.
Probably too much, we use the term being a family.
Yeah.
It gets chucked around, but genuinely, I think that, the guys and girls here, they say it themselves, and it's a nice community that we built. And you come back to the client thing is, it's an opportunity to protect your staff, and it's an opportunity to show them that, that you're more important than this obnoxious client, for example. I think these are all opportunities that, and I always say is that we always want to step up to those as soon as we can, as quick as we can. Don't always get it right. Very open to the team. Look, we're a new company moving really, really quickly. We need your help, but do expect some mistakes along the way, and we'll apologise for them, change it, and move forward. And one of the things we do, which is really good, well, I don't know, it's good for the team, not so much for me, Sam and Jonathan, but they'll get together every quarter and they'll just air their concerns, their annoyances. Sometimes maybe celebrate some things that are going right as well, but we give them that opportunity to say, tell us what's not working, how can we be better? We want to be better. We get some really good honest feedback out of it, and we immediately implement things off the back of it. As long as it's reasonable and it's not something excessive that they've asked for, then
I can
usually,
imagine.
yeah, but the things were like, yeah, you're right on that. We should probably start doing that, and we do, and we put it in place. So team is massively important. Without the team that we've got, well, we just couldn't deliver the work that we've got. So we just know how important it is. And also we were them not too long ago. So we very much see ourselves in them and say, if we was in their shoes now, what's going to be important to us? And that sense of community is probably the biggest thing, is that you spend a lot of time at work, a lot of time. So why not try and get on with people and, have some experiences, go out on quarterly events, or, have some work events. Really, really push that, because it's really important, because you spend a hell of a lot of time at work and you want to be enjoying it whilst you're there, if you can.
Oh, absolutely. There's been a few businesses I've worked for, and one of them was a growing company at the time, and it was brilliant. It was fast paced. I was learning, and there was a real camaraderie there, like you're talking about the community spirit. And somebody said that, actually we spend more time with our work colleagues sometimes than with our
Yeah.
partners. And it's true, isn't it, when you think about it? I mean, particularly if you're in the office 7 or 8 hours, and then you go home, there's only 2 or 3 in the evening that you're with family because they're all getting ready doing something else. So I want to just touch on the charity work that you've been doing, if that's okay, because you did a sleep out recently. Hats off to you.
Well, hats
Um,
off.
or hats on, exactly. So do you have a set charity that you work with, or do you choose different ones? How does that work?
Yeah, so we work with different ones, to be fair. We've not nailed down one. I think what we try and do is we try and do events or contribute to things that are really important to us, or we feel like we've got a connection with. Whereas, if we went with, say, just one charity, there might be something that we don't think sort of connects with the team. So we're very much sporadic, I'd say, when it comes to it. So whenever we see something coming up, we always try and get behind charities and try and raise a bit of money for them. So we work with Pacers is a charity. So it was at their annual event last week. It was. And just hearing about all the things that they're going to do for the year. So there'll be some of the things that we do, some maybe that we won't. And then we work with Sam's brother is a mental health champion. He's got his own charity. He did something called 100 talks over 100 days, impacting 10,000 students, or something like that. And we're a sponsor for them there. And, you know, he came and did a talk at our golf day as well. And then, yeah, the help out, the sleep out thing was Archer's project. So that just sort of resonated with me, in that, you know, I wanted to live the experience of somebody that is homeless, you know, and try and live a day in their life, I suppose. And that, like that, and getting the team to do it as well, it just makes you very humble. And I think the team getting involved, they sort of understand, they get educated about, you know, it's a lonely place being homeless, and some people don't have eye contact, don't even say hi. Whether you say yes or no, it doesn't matter. It's just acknowledging that a person exists, and just little things like that you get from it. It's like it's a worthwhile experience doing it. Although I think it was quite a warm day that we did it on, so we're fully tested to our abilities. But we still got cold. It still did. We did feel it.
What, as cold as a penguin?
Not as cold. Well, I apparently like being cold. Oh no, I don't like being cold. That's it.
I said I was going to weave penguin in somewhere there, because your favorite animal, just to go a little bit off piece, is a penguin, isn't it?
Yeah. And do you know what? It's not.
Oh, is it not?
No, I just don't like being cold, and I just thought, what is a cold creature? And I think we basically had one of our clients coming and recording us doing like staff
Yes.
testimonial, and just like this podcast, I don't prepare whatsoever. I just like it to be more natural. And the things that come out of my mouth it makes no sense, but it comes out, and that was one of the things that. So I got ripped at work for saying
Oh, I
that.
got so excited with that, Mike, because I'm a penguin fan. I have no
Oh
idea.
yeah, sorry,
Love 'em.
have a
And yeah,
moment on the penguins, but there's an accountant out there who loves penguins. He's even got in his logo. So
has
yeah,
he? Oh,
yeah.
well, I can take him out, bless him. Yeah, I don't know why. It's just, yeah, I think they just, yeah, lovely. I don't know. Anyway, I got penguin in, even if it's not exactly the right.
Yeah, achievement.
Bless me. But yeah, so well done. I mean, I did used to do some work with charities. Haven't done anything recently, if I'm honest, but I'm much more the donating one. I'll donate.
Yeah.
I
Rather
don't
than
like being cold either. Or exhausted. You hear people doing running and all sorts. Yeah, not my sort of thing. So what's next for Gravitate then? Because you've got lots on, obviously, and you clearly, as you say, fast moving. What's what's the next 12 months look like for you?
Yeah, I'd say we've got. I think what we're at a stage now where we're at a size where we're managing to take on, you know, decent amount of clients, and we're just seeing that growing without us. So that's pretty cool. So I think what that'll allow us to do is to further reinvest, and that's what we've done ever since we started. And our next investments are going to be in different service lines,
Hmm.
all geared towards being able to help facilitate growing businesses. So it's not what's going to make us the most money. It's all about what's going to add more value to the client. So I can't say what those are, but there's
Yeah, of
two
course.
service lines. One's going to be announced in February, and the person's going to be announced in March as to that service line. And the second one is in progress, subject to finding a person. But like I say, the key is keep on doing what we're doing, impacting more clients, scaling through squads. We have squads here, so you'll have an FD with several accountants underneath them, and they can keep on taking clients on. So we'll build that model up, and then we'll start to slot in different service lines. The aim is to always be in and around Sheffield. We did flirt with the idea of maybe moving to a different city, but then we just thought, well, it's buzzing in Sheffield, and we can work with anybody all across the UK, whether we're based in Sheffield,
Mm.
you know. So for us, it's keeping on doing what we're doing and adding some service lines in. It'll keep us busy for the next 12 months.
Excellent. And thank you, because I just posted that into a little recess in my mind, is adding value lines, and so I need to think about that. That's a little
Yeah.
tip I'm going to take away. Just one. There were a few others, but that's one. So with accountants starting out now, because we're having, as I noticed, problems with recruitment in the industry. You know, various businesses are really struggling to get the right caliber or quality of people, and even get people in. What would you recommend to people who are looking to qualify this year? What pearls of wisdom would you share with them?
Is this for the ones that are wanting to seek a job, or the employers?
Um, I was going to say yes. So let's start with the ones looking to be in the industry first.
Yeah, I'd say try a few bits in terms of different types of roles and ways in which you can get involved in accountancy. So I made a move into industry. It was valuable in that it made me realize I didn't want to be in industry. And we've got careers of 40 years or whatever it turns out to be. A couple of years out of your career is not a lot. It feels a lot in the moment. You think, oh, I shouldn't really do that. I'm too scared to do that. But it's worth knowing that you either may love doing that thing or you don't, and then you go back to where you are with even more passion and drive. Always worried about, always wondering about what it could be like. It would have ate me up, had I made the right decision. So for me, try maybe a move into industry is a good thing. And then making an assessment as to whether to come back is the right decision. So I wouldn't be fearful of it, is what I would say. Always give it a go. And also, yeah, do what you enjoy the most because money will come rather than do the thing that'll learn you the most, even
Yeah.
if you don't enjoy it. It's such a hard one. It's such a real hard one. But I can honestly say I worked for far too long doing the things I didn't really want to do. I'm really struggling to get more money. And then when I started to do the thing that I really enjoyed doing, the money follows. So it does work. It just becomes a bit of a lag. So yeah, I think if you focus on doing what you really want to do, you'll do a better job at it and you'll progress really quickly. And then I think for employers is there's a lot of great accounting practices out there. They just don't necessarily show themselves for what they are as well. So how they do engage with their teams and stuff like that. So I would say leverage social media to show potential candidates what your culture's like, because otherwise they're just reading it on a piece of paper and it's like anybody else's culture. So live and breathe and show that you're seeing your culture through, and people will ultimately see that and be attracted. People of our ages, going for a job are not going to get excited about seeing something on a piece of paper. It doesn't mean much, but visually seeing it in some short form content, that's how they resonate and they understand it. Whether they know what their core value even means, it doesn't really matter. They can visualize what it looks like then. So, and I don't think a lot of businesses do enough of that, and don't they focus more on the client and trying to engage with the clients more and more, but not enough on the staff. And I think if you get a mixture of the two, you have it's a great recipe for success because you're attracting the talent that can do the work and hopefully attracting the clients as well that are drawn to your culture as well.
Yeah.
And they end up being really, really good clients because they're drawn to you through how you are, which means that there's a good alignment there.
Um, I love what you said about certainly for those who are looking to, join into the industry, is that for me, I believe that we should be doing more and more of what we love. Life's
Yeah.
too short. And if you don't love it, then it just drags life down all around, doesn't it? It impacts every area of your life. And that's really where I want to see people, being more, is doing more and more of what they love. So I love that you do that. Very closely to that, which ties into the second part of your answer, was our values, what's important to us. And if being in a vibrant company that is, constantly growing and has got lots of other things going on, if those are things that are important to you, that's where you need to go. So you're right, the values are just as important, the culture of the organization. Yeah, I've been in one organization and the culture was fine, but it it was a big organization and they ended up with cartoons of rockets and something else on our business cards. And at the time I was a bit up myself and a bit professional and I thought, I'm not using those.
Yeah.
To one side. But if I wanted to work in a cartoon agency, I would have done.
Yeah.
Obviously now I would have been a little bit more appreciative that they were trying to up the game a bit. Change.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it
But at
didn't.
the time, that's obviously not right for you, and I think that isn't it. I think when you do go for a job, it's on trying to understand that culture really quickly. Unless there's a lot to learn from that company, you're not going to enjoy that day in day out, are you really?
No,
Uh, and I was very much the suit tie, crease
exactly.
down trouser legs, like and I loved it. You know, it made me feel a sense of importance, you know, dressing up in a certain way where I never used to dress up like that. And when I walked into clients, I don't know, I felt different, and I felt, I suppose, superior in that way. And that only worked for so long, until when we set up Gravitate, and it was like, actually, I feel just as comfortable or more so comfortable, and the client feels more so comfortable, and the teams feel more so comfortable when I turn up in a hoodie, you know. So let's try that, and it's sort of really worked for us, which is surprising.
Bless you. I completely get it. And actually, when I talk about this business, to be fair, the business I worked in was bought out, but they were trying to change the culture, and I get it,
Yeah,
but I just
yeah.
felt colour wasn't the only way to do it. Yeah.
So hard when you've got a mix of people in there as well as that. And I think, yeah, that's another tip, is just do whatever you believe in from day one. But also be open that you might be wrong. And then if you do need to change, you've almost got permission to start off with, and then you can change later on.
Oh, I love your approach, Mike, and I will be continuing to follow Gravitate on its journey, because I've been drawn to it and thought it was really good. In which case, is there anything else that you think you'd like people to know about who Mike Crocker is? I
Yeah.
think I've got some ideas, but what would you say?
But I don't know, a simple guy from Sheffield, really, just trying to do his best.
Oh, bless
Yeah,
you. Oh, down to
uh,
earth. Down
yeah,
to
just a down to earth guy, that's just running an accounts practice. Just by some luck, he's sort of doing really well. But no, that's it to add, really. I don't really like talking about myself.
No, I can understand that. Okay, well, I'll put it in the words, because it looks like we're going to have to stop the recording, because you've got to change the battery pack coming up for you.
Oh
I'll
no.
probably cut it a little bit shorter there, but I just want to say thank you. Let me just turn